Welcome everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be running through my iRFFB settings. Now it's a piece of software that a lot of you may have heard about. It ultimately changes up your force feedback from 60 Hz, which is the output of iRacing, to 360 Hz. Now in the short, that improves your force feedback dramatically. It makes the output or the input into your wheel much smoother, the bumps are much smoother, and the detail that you receive is much more intricate than what you receive from iRacing. It's not as clunky. Now, that's one of the big factors of our Factor 2, Assetto Corsa or ACC. Why people rave about their force feedback so much is one of the main reasons is the output, the 360 Hz that the force feedback puts into your wheel, rather than 60 Hz of iRacing. That's a dramatic difference. But yeah, I have been doing a bit of searching around online while I've been trying to set this up, and no one has really been able to give a base of the Fanatec V2.5 wheel. I've searched around a lot. There's been a lot in regards to G29s and direct drive wheels, but nothing kind of in the middle of the CSL Elites or the Fanatec. So I wanted to put this together for you guys just to show you what I've come across. I feel like I've found a nice sweet spot now, and just explain to you why I've done them. So yeah, let's get into it. So here we are. Here are my settings. Now I'll run through them quickly with you. I want to keep this short and sweet and not bore you, not regurgitate a lot of the information that is already available to you out there. And I will admit I'm not as knowledgeable on this as I'd like to be. I've had a big help with from the community, so big thank you to you guys. You know who you are in helping me with this, because yeah, there's more knowledgeable people out there on YouTube already who explain kind of the intricacies of these settings better than I ever could. But yeah, let's show you what I've done. So 60 Hz direct filtered is what I'm running. I've been informed by the community, so thank you guys. But this is what you want to be using for belt-driven wheels or anything below a direct drive. 360 Hz and 360 Hz interpolated is for direct drive wheels. Anything below that, 720 is a very high output. I haven't seen anywhere online of anyone using that setting. It's 60 Hz to 360 is what you want to be using. Now, let's move down to the forces. So I've got my minimum force set to 8. Yeah, just seems to be a nice little sweet spot there. Works well with the suspension bumps settings that I've got. This is the minimum amount of force that you'll feel through low speed corners, or at a minimum rate through your wheel. Maximum force, now obviously this is where I've had to do a lot of playing around. I found pretty much sweet spot is bang in the middle here of these settings. As many people on many videos will tell you already, it's actually the opposite way round here. You would think that the lower the number, the weaker the force feedback, and obviously the higher the number, the stronger it would be. Actually, you need to switch it round. It's the complete opposite. So I've found 30 is a good middle ground for me. In iRacing, it always kind of generally recommends around 27 to 28 in the cars that I use, and I found that 30 is, while it's a little bit higher, it's better, because what we've got down here in this little information box, as you can see, what this details to you is that the amount of samples that are clipped depending on the force that you're using. So I've had, as you can see, a little bit of playing around, a bit up and down in regards to the percentages flipped, and I've used the F3 in the Dallara P2, MP2 car, and 30 has been good. I get around 10 to 15% of clipping, but personally I don't feel, I don't notice it, which is ultimately the big thing. I have seen some people who are maybe a little bit more, as I said, knowledgeable and a bit more finicky with force feedback would, but I don't notice it, and it's good. If the problem I got is that if I wanted to bring the percentage of samples clipped further down, which would mean moving this bar further up, I think about is 45 to 48 Newton meters is very minimal samples that are clipped. The force of the force feedback, or the strength of it, it's just too weak. It's too light. I just can't feel it. It's very, very minimal. I do err on the stronger side of force feedback. Always have done. And yeah, 30 is I can suffer 10 to 15% of samples clipped during any kind of given period of use. So yeah, that's a good example to go with, or a good base to start from. As I said, that's more on the stronger side of things. So if you do want to go a little bit weaker, by all means do. Damping, I've never had any damping, so yeah, left on 0. Suspension bumps, of course, this is all to do with the bumps through the car that you feel through the suspension. I'm on quite a flexible wheelbase here. You can see the movement in the wheel stand that I've got. So unfortunately, I can't have these up too high, because otherwise I would feel like the wheelbase is going to fly off. But if you've got a solid rig, I would probably recommend to put this up a little bit higher. Of course, all depends on how strong you are, how strong your wrists are. If you don't want to break your wrists, don't put this up too high. Understeer, I feel like I've got enough input. I know when I'm understeering in iRacing. I don't feel like I need the wheel or the force feedback to go light when I'm understeering, which is what this setting does. You really do feel it, but I feel like it's more off-putting than anything. I don't need that personally. Some people may, so as I said, personal preference, these settings. Now, SOP effect is where this really comes into its own, as many have probably explained already. This is when you feel the limit of the car. So it's more of the oversteer of the car, or when the car is going to spin. As we know of iRacing, the threshold of being on the limit and then losing the car has always been a big criticism of iRacing, is that you can't save the car as much as you would be able to in real life or in other sims for definite. And this effect just puts more inputs through your wheel to know when you're on that limit. It kind of lightens the steering a little bit, and you know, I can lift off the throttle a bit, or I need to straighten out the steering so that I'm not going to spin that car. It's really something that should be in iRacing's force feedback anyway. It is in other sims, it's implemented in other sims much better. rFactor 2 comes to mind, brilliant when it comes to saving the car and catching slides and potential spins. And yeah, an offset is kind of, I'm not going to explain that too much. I believe that's when it kicks in, so you can set this to kind of higher or lower. I've just left that as that is. So yeah, there we go, guys. Also down here, I do click use car specific settings, so this will save these settings for whenever you're in a different car. As we can see down here, the most recent car I've driven was the LMP2. So when I load into the F3, it will have the settings that I previously had set up or saved automatically load up. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Use that as a base. I am here to learn and be proven wrong. I want to learn more about this system, about this software, so please feel free to drop any comments below. But yeah, of course, it is all down to personal preference. My big issue, as I said at the start, with the software was I was getting drawn into the percentage of samples clipped. Trying to lower this down, where the only way to do this is to increase the maximum force, or weaken it, shall we say, because it's opposite. And it just, I couldn't get on with the amount of strength or lack of strength that was put through the wheel. You really want to keep this, of course, the clipping as low as possible, but I never really experienced it through iRacing or noticed it in iRacing, especially as they recommended that majority of times it was 25 to 28 Newton meters of force. The fact I've got that on 30 and never noticed any clipping, I think you can look into this a little bit too much sometimes, this percentage. So just be aware, guys. That's something that I fell into. But yeah, hope you guys like that. Hope it's useful. You can use that for a base moving forward. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Turn those notifications on, and happy racing.